Okay, here we go. So the first thing is our model class. So let me copy this into the project. I've already created a new project over here. Also, let's start with a list activity. Okay, so let's start with something like that. And then let's go with our, so that's our item class over here, and let me paste books. Okay, let me remove the UUID. Okay, so that's a simple model over here. That's my parts over here. So okay. Okay, we are good. So okay, so over here, let's go for the list activity. So over here, we are adding our adapter. So okay, that's our adapter, and we want our this part over here is for the menu, so we're not having that, so we can just ignore it. And this is our listener method. Okay, so when one of the rows are selected, we can ask the adapter for this particular position, give me the corresponding item, right, which happens to be an instance of this class item over here. So so this part over here is quite similar to what we had in the past, right? And then we've got an extra parameter in our intent over here, so that the details activity has access to display something. So so the next thing here is actually creating our details activity. So that's what we're gonna do. Here is our details activity. Okay, and in our details activity, we have this very simple layout over here. So let's override the details activity layout over here. Okay, so I have a few ID description costs, so let's go in to fix that. done over there. So, and we actually need this part as well. So over here we are getting information from the bundle. Okay, and then we are grabbing each of this to populate the different text views over here. So let me just copy this over here. So so we are ready to see the effects of this. No, I didn't intend to use this one. So these are my 3 items. Selecting on it gives me the detail over here. Okay, so just to show that it's not the nicest layout, but basically just to show that you are able to put that all together. Okay, so this app over here consisting of 2 activities. Okay, so what we're going to do is to change all this into fragments. Okay, so we want to use fragments over here. So here's what we're going to do. Okay. Let's create an app that uses this multi-pane approach. Okay, and let's not bother about having separate views. Let's just stick to one view for the moment, and then later on we'll add that functionality of having separate views. Okay, so let's just stick with an app with just 2 fragments and 1 activity. Both the fragments in the same activity over here. Let's just start with that. Okay, so in this case over here, okay, what we want to do is to have a main activity with a layout that consists of the 2 fragments over here. This first one is statically inserted. The second one is going to be dynamically inserted. Okay, so let's come over here. Let's remove these. We don't need this at the moment. Okay, so here's our main. So I'm gonna go back, all right, to a activity. I don't need all this stuff. So going back to an activity, I'm gonna delete all that, and I'm gonna delete all that, and I'm gonna bring back set content view, and I'm gonna use the standard layout over there, which is the activity main over here. Okay, so this is the code. So this, if you like, is the simplest activity because all it does is make use of two fragments. Okay, so this is this part over here, and now I need to modify, okay, so that I have those two fragments over there. So so this is the layout. I'm gonna replace all this with my two fragments. Okay, of course this name over here is not correct because I've not yet created this fragment. So that's what I'm gonna do next over here. Okay, so over here I'm gonna include my listing fragment, which happens, okay, to extend. So in the same way that you got a list activity, you got also a list fragment. Okay, so I'm getting a fragment using all this stuff. So okay, let's come back over here, and we are saying I want a new fragment over here. I want a new, let's make it blank. And let's leave this out over here. Okay, so that's my fragment. That's the template of the fragment over here. Okay. And that is the fragment layout over here. Okay, so but I want a list fragment. Okay, so okay, so here is the create view. On create view, which I will put over here. So at the moment I don't need my constructor, so I'm just deleting that. And I'm just yeah, in fact I don't even need that. So okay, let me copy all this stuff. So I've got all that code there. Now I need the code for the second fragment. Okay. So as well as over here I need a layout for my over here for my listing fragment, and the layout is over here. Okay, so there is a list fragment here. So let me come back over here. Actually, this this layout was actually created. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll come back over here, modify this to fragment listing layout over here. Okay. So I will need to incorporate my layout into this fragment file. So this one over here, we don't want to have the we don't need to have the text view. So what we want to do over here is to make use of the list view. So here we are inserting the list view. Okay. I know I said that if we have a listing activity, we don't need a set content view. Okay, but I'm doing it anyway, right? And for me it works. Why? Because my list view, I'm gonna name my list view to be the standard Android list view name, right? And so over here, I don't have a class for ID. I'm actually say that this one is my Android predefined name called list. Okay, that's why it's gonna work for the listing fragment. Okay, so this is an appropriate list view for my predefined listing fragment. Okay, so my listing fragment is almost done, except for this details fragment over here, which is outstanding. Okay, so this is the code for the details fragment. So let me just, the next thing is to insert that. So I'm gonna create the second fragment over here. It's gonna be a blank fragment, and I'm gonna call it details. And I don't need all the other callbacks, but I'll still create the layout XML file. Okay, so this is the blank details over here, details fragment, and what I'm gonna do is to copy this on create view. Okay, so let me copy this whole stuff and paste it over here, override it over here. Okay, so okay, so what is left over here is to firm up the layout for the details fragment. Okay, in fact, I can use the same layout that I used earlier on. Earlier on, we had this layout over here, this one over here for the details. Okay, so I'm gonna copy all that. We use this layout over here for this details one over here, so I'm gonna override it over here. Okay, and then I'm going back to the details fragment. I'm gonna update this part to point to the fragment details over here like that. Okay, so I should have everything in order. So let me run this second version right now. Why did it die? Okay, so please don't come to me and say
no permission.
Don't come to me and say my app died. Okay, try to find out why it died. Okay, so we will go and look out over here, and over here it says that we tried to inflate a invalid XML file over here. Okay, so you were trying to do something bad over here. Okay, so what I did wrong over here was that when I created the listing fragment over here, I did not update this namespace over here. So this thing should be okay, so I should have a com example dot dot my app for B, and we should have a listing try again. Okay, so here is the statically inserted fragment, and here is the other details fragment. Okay, right? This is the left pane, this one is the right one. Okay, so let's go back to the listing fragment over here. Okay, so in this case, this is very much like our listing activity. This is the on-click handler. The on-click handler calls the display over here. Okay, so when it's just empty, it should find nothing, and then we do an add, and if it's not empty, we do a replace. Okay, so that's why this thing over here is supposed to work. Okay, so right now we actually have two fragments into our main activity. Okay, so all the logic is in the two fragments. Our main activity over here just has code to include a particular layout. Doesn't have any other code. Okay, all the work is done by fragments. Okay. Okay, so we are now, okay, we've passed this, and we finish over here. So now we can be a little bit more flexible on the particular layout. Okay, so now we want to consider the portrait view as well as the landscape view. All right. So, are you ready over there? Okay. Okay. So, what we're gonna do over here is to create a resource directory, right? Because we want a portrait view and a landscape view. So we will need at this stage. We will need a layout directory called layout-len. Okay, so let me create that, And then I'm gonna switch over to my project view, and I'm gonna drill down over here to my resource over here. So there we go. We found the layout under hyphen len, right? So here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the activity main, okay, this one over here. That is the split view over here. This one, this multi-pane, right? I'm gonna copy this, right-click copy, and I'm gonna paste this into the len directory, right? So here's the paste. Okay, so I pasted it in here. So let's go back to the Android view. Okay, so here are my two views. So this over here is my landscape view over here, and there's also the portrait view. Okay, so previously when I copied, what I did was to modify the landscape view. But actually now we actually started with the landscape view. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and modify the portrait view. This one is len, okay, so I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna modify this by removing this placeholder. Okay, I remove this placeholder, and now since in the portrait mode my fragment is going to occupy the whole layout. Okay, so in this case over here, I can make use of the entire height and width. So over here, the width becomes match parent, like that. Okay, so there we have the listing fragment working in portrait mode. Right? Okay, now, so we've done that. Okay, so this is the landscape, this is the portrait mode over here, right? So we don't need this dimension over here for the width. Okay, now, let's go back to the code over here. Ultimately, okay, here's the listing fragment over here. In this case here, okay, this code over here is assuming that there's a placeholder. Okay, so that in this case over here, we can actually, we might potentially find a fragment. Okay, so this assumes basically that we have the multi-pane view, right? But in portrait mode, we don't have the multi-pane view. Okay, so we are in kind of a dilemma over here. We have to determine, are we running in the landscape view or are we running in the portrait mode? This one works well when we are running landscape, right? But in a portrait mode, we don't have the placeholder, so this part over here doesn't come into play. Okay, so what we have to figure out is, are we running in landscape or portrait? Okay, so here is how we do it. So over here, this is the on-click listener, on list item click listener, right? And actually we have what we have over here is just we are finding an item and then we are displaying it. Okay, so the additional code over here is this part over here, right? This part over here says, let's go to this part over here says, let's go to the layout of the activity. Okay, over here. Let's go to the layout of the activity and look for a details frame. Okay, so let me copy that, and then okay, we will okay, so here is the code. Go to the layout, find view by ID. Okay, so that means if we are running in landscape mode and we go to the layout, we find ourselves details frame, we know that this one is the landscape mode. That means we know that we have a placeholder over here. Okay, but if we are running in portrait mode and we are looking out for the details fragment, we actually don't have it. Okay, so that's how we distinguish it over here. If we are looking for the details frame, and that is, oops, okay, I think I modified the wrong stuff. Oh no, I'm good. I'm just confused. Okay, this is the okay. This is the portrait one, right? And this one is the landscape one. So for the landscape one, we will see details frame, right? We will find out this one. So that's why when we say find view by ID details frame, if it's null, that means we are in single pane mode, right? If it's not null, that means we are in multi-pane mode. Agree? Agree? So okay. So this is how we differentiate. Are we single pane or are we multi-pane? Okay, so in this case over here, if we are in a single pane, that means we need to call the details activity, and we need the details activity to have the details fragment over there to do the job. Okay, so it remains that we need to modify this details activity over here to receive these details over here, and then get it to load a fragment. Okay, so this is how it's gonna look like. Okay, so here is the details activity. So I will okay, so let me copy this stuff over here so that I can paste it into the new details. Okay, here is the details, the details activity, right? Previously, when I started, the details activity was not implemented using fragments. Okay, I hard-coded details activity over here, right? So right now, basically, I don't have to re-implement it. Basically, I'm making use of fragment. So let me get this. Okay, so over here, I need a layout view for my details activity that will actually allow me to include the details fragment. Okay, and yeah, okay, so this is it. Here is one layout with a placeholder, so that's where I'm gonna include my details fragment. So so activity details over here. I need to go back to activity details over here, right? And I will need to replace all this layout over here with just this simple one. Okay, because previously I was implementing it, now I don't. Okay, so this placeholder is called details frame 2. So it over here, there we go. Okay. No. It should be the details activity that I want. So okay, we are here. Okay, so we've got this particular view, and over here says we are looking out for the details to frame. Okay, and we are gonna add this new fragment over here into the details frame, and then I'm gonna do a comment. Okay, so here's a very quick begin transaction, add, and then commit. Right over here, I have the activity, and I'm only gonna add the fragment once, and that's it. Right, I'm not gonna do any replacement over here. Right, so the activity uses the fragment once, and that's it. And then after that, the activity dies anyway. Okay, so over here, notice that when we have in this case over here, right, we have an intent over here to start the details activity, right, and over here we've got the details from the extra, right? So this one is like a middleman over here. What it's gonna do is it's gonna receive the extra over here, right? It's gonna receive it over here. It's gonna receive it using get serialized but extra. It's gonna receive the object, and then once it receives the object, it's gonna transfer that into a bundle over here, and then give it to this fragment over here. Okay, so it's passing the data, and then just insert the fragment over here. Okay, let's see if all these work out. Okay, so here we've got portrait mode, and here is the details activity running and using the details fragment. If I go back over here, that's the portrait mode. If I rotate this, then here is the multi-pane approach. Okay, so in this case over here, we only have one activity, right? We stay on this activity and we replace the fragment every time we select a new item. Alright, but if we are in this particular mode, then we actually create the details activity. The details activity will create a fragment, details fragment, insert it, and that's it. It doesn't do a replace over here. Okay, because it only displays the details of one item, and then after that I might do a bag, and so there's no replacement of fragments over here. Okay, so this is with back. Okay, so that's it. Okay, for fragments. All right. So what I did basically was I went through 3 steps. Firstly, I implemented it without fragments. Okay, and then secondly, I just made use of the multi-pane approach. So do the easiest, right? And then we differentiated between portrait view as well as landscape view. Okay, so that's the third one. All right. So now that we've done all that, we can actually repeat that for news, right? So we could actually be writing the news ad as multi-pane as well. Okay, so that means the right pane actually has the web view. So clicking on a news item will show the news on the right hand side pane, assuming that we were in landscape mode. Okay, if not, then we have to start a new activity. Okay, so we could have done that in a similar fashion as well. Right, so the only difference is what? The difference is whether we use the item model or we use a news item model. Okay, but basically similar stuff over there. Okay, so I will leave this to you as an exercise. Okay, or actually we can go back to the employee one and do it for the employee one as well. Right? So that can work in a multi-pane fashion too. Okay, any questions?